Released in early 1988 for the Famicom Disk System and Nintendo Entertainment System, ice hockey is an arcade-like hockey game, produced and developed by Nintendo. 1 or 2 players control an international team of 4 skaters and 1 goalie, trying to score as many goals before time expires, while limiting the opposition. Setup allows players to determine the speed of the game, the clock time, and their team composition. It was officially part of the Sports Series, which started with black box titles baseball, tennis, golf, 10-yard fight, soccer, pro wrestling, volleyball, and slalom, but also included Rad Racer by Square, RC Pro Am by Rare, and a few years later, Sports Series' final entry, NES Open Tournament Golf. The feel of the game is decidedly whimsical, with players selecting between thin, ordinary, and stocky statures for each of their players. Penalties are few and far between, triggered between fights that have a chance to occur during frantic scraps for control of the puck. There's little resemblance to the more intricate rules of ice hockey. While icing, a rule that prevents teams from dumping the puck all the way down the ice, is here, there are no rules for two-line passes, offsides, substitutions, bench minors, stick infractions, and all the other little nuances of rules that come in with the traditional version of the game. It was designed by Hideki Kono, best known for being one of the lead designers in the Super Mario Bros. And Mario Kart franchises. In fact, racing games excluded, ice hockey's his only sports title credit. The music for Ice Hockey, a short series of simple but charming loops, was the work of Soyo Oka, better known as DJ Alice. Having studied famous composer Koji Kondo closely, she got the opportunity to work with him when Nintendo hired her on in 1987. A year later, Ice Hockey became her first credited title as composer. She would eventually be credited with work on hits like Pilot Wings, Super Mario Kart, SimCity, and appropriately, arranging Kondo's original works for Super Mario All-Stars. We should note there are some notable design decisions here, going with international teams over professional franchises, shootouts to break ties, and goalieless contests to break shootout ties, penalties being based on a combination of luck and button mashing, control of the goalies being able to wind up, fake shots, shuffling positions, etc. Often, ice hockey feels less a facsimile or simulation of the winter sport, as it does a video game based on its rules. In that way, that's precisely part of NES Ice Hockey's charm. It maintains just enough resemblance to the actual sport to endear fans, while being simple enough to be picked up and understood by those who are not hockey aficionados. Thoughts?
You know, I think a lot of when people think of NES hockey, they think of, Blades of Steel, Konami's big title.
Sure.
And it's, you look at both games, side by side, and it's really easy to point out their similarities. They both have the same camera angle from the side of the rink. They both let you control the goalie and the selected skater at the same time. Both have a sort of not quite arcadey, not quite simulation feel to it, where you can tell they're trying to be as realistic to the, as, I guess, realistic to the sport as they can with, the limitations of the system.
Yeah. Although I have to say, with the pass.
And that's kind of
with the pass.
Yeah. No, that's definitely one of the advantages NES has over it.
Yeah, I think there are minor things in presentation there, right? Like, so Blades of Steel goes for these real large characters, but they all look the same. The NES, characters, they went for a very kind of cutesy look, but you have 3 different styles out there, so already your players have more personality with kind of a real minimal effort thing here. All you're doing is selecting, do you want a slightly faster player who's good at face-offs, a slower player who's good at knocking people off the puck and slap shots, or kind of a balance of the 3.
It really helps you, make you feel like you're fielding a team instead of choosing just a palette swap of a character.
And it's a real minor thing, but each of the 6 international teams has like their own default lineup of what they to start with by default. I think maybe the Russians have like 2 Fats, the Americans have like 4 regular players, etc. So it gives the teams like certain feels, even though obviously when you're playing it, you just change and pick where you want to pick. Sure. And most people choose at least 2, if not 3, fat players, just because of the shot quality and the ability to win, puck contests. But But yeah, so it gives a little personality there, which is nice. You don't have the Jumbotron, unfortunately, and
No Gradius
yeah,
mini game in between.
no
This
no
first intermission.
advertising for other Nintendo games while you're playing a Nintendo game. Also, notable absence of Mario.
That's true. He has cameos in pretty much every other sports game.
And typically, if he's not playing it, he's officiating, and they have the referee in this game, but it isn't Mario as the referee.
Now,
So-
how soon after Mario Brothers did these black box games come out?
So most of the black box titles in the sports series came out in the years between like 84 and 88. So
Okay.
it's kind of that 80s Nintendo first wave, heyday period. So, of the ones we mentioned, baseball, tennis, golf, 10-yard fight, soccer, pro wrestling, volleyball, and slalom are all black box titles. And they all come out between, I mean, obviously in the US, no earlier than 85 because we didn't have the system till 85.
Right.
So for us, it's between 85 and 88 that all those games come out. Ice hockey's 88, and it's the tail end. I don't think anything came out later than 88 for the sports series other than NES Open Tournament Golf.
Now, is it safe to say that maybe they were trying to feel out whether or not their big mascot had whether or not the players would be able to latch onto the mascot and identify it with the system?
It's possible. There may be a thing where Mario's success, now that because they had gotten through a couple Mario entries and some other subsequent trials. This is 88 at this point. Mario's success might have moved him kind of beyond being a bit character in other games.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are examples past this. Alleyway for Game Boy comes to mind, where you actually see Mario walking into the Arkanoid paddle, whatever thing, and just but yeah, no. So that was kind of weird. It felt like that was a notable absence. Other thing worth mentioning, there were some changes between the Famicom and Nintendo versions of this. And the Famicom one was actually a disc game. It came on those little yellow floppies.
Oh, neato.
It wasn't a cartridge game. But it had different music for in-game and different music when you score a goal. The other music's the same, but they changed those two tracks. And maybe even more kind of interesting from a discussion point of view, they changed two teams. The Swedes are not in the Japanese version of the game. The Japanese are. And so the first team in the list is Japan in their version. And
Sure.
Japan has kind of this like whitish pink color for their characters with a darker skin tone. Just like in the US version, like the Americans are the only ones with a darker skin tone of the 6 you could pick from.
Yeah.
In this one, in the Japan version, they had like Japan and USA as the first two. USA is still blue, and they still have the same skin tone as in the North American version. But the Japanese have a slightly different, darker skin tone.
Okay.
So there's actually like 3. There's theirs, the Americans, and then sort of that pale white that they use for the Polish, Canadian, Soviet Union, and the Czechs. And in the North American version, it's Sweden has kind of that gold colored uniform, but they have the same pale skin again as the other 4.
Right.
So that's interesting.
I mean, it would be kind of weird for Japan to come out with, even though they're not really known for their hockey team. And you saw what
Sure.
they did in the Nagano Olympics. They didn't really do a whole lot.
Yeah, what year was Nagano?
It's 98.
98?
Yeah.
So that's a full 10 years after this.
Yeah.
But I'll pull it up as a pop-up here. I'm trying to remember when they actually started participating in international competition. Because I don't think the team is as old as, because they're obviously Northern Europe's going to have a pretty lengthy history with hockey.
Oh, yeah.
Russia's going to. My guess is Japan's international team doesn't have quite the same age gap, right?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. I mean, the only reason I even knew they had a international team to begin with was because of Nagano, and that was only because they were the host country. They had to field a team.
Right. So you don't see ice hockey pop up all that often, in the sense that most of the sports series of titles are like afterthoughts in the Nintendo characters history kind of canon thing.
Sure.
Obviously, all their major characters pop up in like Smash Brothers. I actually, on a personal level, was so happy when Ice Climbers became characters in Smash Brothers, even if it was a temporary thing, because that was a throwback to like their original console heyday. Like it was a, an original title for them. I did find out that the fat hockey player is a sticker in Brawl.
I think I got that one. I think I remember that. No, that was awesome.
So, and the Smash Brothers games were always great for like having that cataloged history of Nintendo stuff, collect them all. I remember I had Melee for GameCube.
Okay, yeah.
And I worked my tail off to try to get all of the trophies, because it was not only great to collect those things, even though there's kind of this unreal virtual like amiibo, it was the amiibo before amiibo. It was all these cute little statues on the little circular discs just waiting to be collected.
Yeah.
And they arranged them all on the table as you got them, which was really nice. But it was also a great way to kind of flip through Nintendo's history and be like, oh, what's this weird giant character? I haven't seen him before. And, oh, well, I was too young for Earthbound. My first system's a GameCube, and this is what a Mr. Saturn is. I had no idea. It was just a weird thing I was throwing at people.
Right. No, it gives you great context for all the old stuff, and it was good. They gave you the the character name, the game name, the year it came out, and a brief description of the character, and it was just a great way for people. People playing Smash Bros. Today, a lot of them aren't going to know what the Ice Climbers were.
Right.
But it was a great way for them to at least connect on a small informational level.
Speaking of like black box titles, we are recording this after the Nintendo Switch has had its kind of public presentations.
Oh yeah.
You recall the the minute-long Wild West showdown between the two, like staring at each other, and like the increased tension? In the back of my mind, I'm going, "It's Wild Gunman. It's Wild Gunman. I'm ordering this system immediately. It's Wild Gunman." And then it's 1-2 switch. And it very well might be titled Wild Gunman when you like go through the menus and whatever, but the fact that they didn't even acknowledge or like, because it was such a perfect opportunity for a nostalgic throwback that could have simultaneously like been a, hey, older gamers, like we remember our back catalog and we are adapting it to the modern day. It just felt like a missed opportunity for me to brand it that way.
Yeah, the only thing you got close to a throwback homage was Super Bomberman, but even then, that's widely known. That's not a niche game or anything like that.
Heck no, it's in Season 1.
It is in Season 1. That was insane.
Yeah, let's see. Other things worth mentioning. So we used the no goalies code for the second episode, and that was a bit of a tragedy. But we actually forgot one of the cheat codes.
There's another cheat code?
There's a second one. It uses the exact same input. So to go back, for no goalies, at the very start screen, you hold A and B on both controllers and then hit start on controller 1, and that removes goalies. If you use that exact same code on the team select screen, the puck loses its decay rate physics. So like when you hit it, it goes top speed, and then it just keeps going at that speed till it goes in the net or somebody actually gets the puck. It never slows down.
Oh my god.
And then if you shoot the puck and it goes airborne, same thing. It just flies around in the air until either a player hits it or it goes in a net. It's weird.
That's an easy way to brain somebody.
Yeah, so I will append some footage of that to this, so you can at least see it in action. But that is, I know we missed that in our recording.
Oh my god.
So
I wanted to do that.
Definitely. And then, as always, like how to play this game. Obviously, we played it on the NES. You can also play it if you can get a copy of the disc on the Famicom Disk System. Or we have a Sharp Famicom Twin for playing those. But it was ported to both the Wii and Wii U Virtual Consoles. I don't think it was ported to any of the handheld stuff, but whatever you can get, I know it's available on both of those. It was ported to the Wii in 2006 and the Wii U in 2014. Cool. So it's on both VCs available for download.
They should bring that online play for that. That would be phenomenal. Just first, that would be a huge idea. Bring online play to Virtual Console titles? Holy crap.
Or perhaps just as easily now that they keep advertising the local multiplayer stuff
for the Switch and all that. Yeah.
So like those ad hoc networks you can make with Switch consoles.
Yeah.
That's a real easy way to kind of, without being concerned about latency, just be like right there.
My God, I would load up my Virtual Console with that. So Blades of Steel, I have a huge nostalgic love for that game.
Sure.
That was my jam. In fact, that was one of the first games I ever played. And when you brought up NES Ice Hockey, I thought, oh, well, here's a nice little app, like you mentioned, an afterthought of a game. NES Black Box. They were just figuring out this, the software and the system. And Blades of Steel is a great showcase of what the system could do later on, what developers could do with the system. But NES Ice Hockey, just what they had to bring the aspects of the hockey game itself, I feel like it's more of a true to life, true to the game hockey experience. You have,
you don't have like the red arrows. You have control over your shots.
Right.
You have more control over what kind of players you put on the ice, and thus the type of game you want to play.
So you almost bring in sort of a line change aesthetic to it.
Right. So yeah, it's definitely got some depth there, but I think it hides well because Nintendo does this thing where all their games look polished and cute and well put together. It's like I love this example. One of my colleagues at Mason, Rob Dietrich, talks about Balloon Fight, and he jokingly called it the most important video game of all time. And Balloon Fight is just Joust at its core. It's the exact same thing, but at the same time, it's completely different. It's cute. It's got these two balloons, so if like you get hit and one pops, okay, so I can take 2 hits. The background music is good. It has that endless runner mode and for like a score challenge. It has the regular mode where you kind of progress through levels. You can play it simultaneous co-op. It really doesn't do anything that Joust didn't do in terms of gameplay, but the polish is there, and it's so attractive a title to like get your hands on and actually play and enjoy. That experience, and I think Nintendo as a company has always had this real solid understanding what that experience should be. NES Ice Hockey is just another one of those games that benefit from that. It's a cute abstraction of hockey that, because it's so well put together, actually ends up being a real darn good hockey game for a system that really wasn't cut out to do simulation level hockey. You're right, Blades of Steel does its level best with like the synthesized voice and the large sprites and the fights where you go like side to side, as opposed to this game where you're just frantically smashing A for fun. But honestly, like each has its unique appeal. The shootouts are completely different in the two, but again, both are really enjoyable. But at the end of the day, NES Ice Hockey is one of those titles I feel stands out without standing out. It's a really good game that a generation of gamers that by all rights should have grown up remembering it, enjoying it, don't, if only because Blades of Steel simultaneously was kind of also a thing, and for good reason. It was a quality title, well above the standard of like, Nintendo had quality control for its games, but Blades of Steel was good even considering that.
I think the fact that it had a season mode or tournament mode also really helped in its favor.
Yeah, it was a real deep game.
Yeah.
And for those reasons, NES Ice Hockey tends to get lost in the wash, but it really shouldn't. It's one of those that I absolutely encourage people to pick up and try and kind of understand what makes it so much fun.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if you asked me if I wanted to play a match of Blades of Steel or NES Ice Hockey right now, I'd probably pick NES Ice Hockey.
Well, I mean, I know I would, but then again, I know which one I grew up with. So, and that's always going to be for like a lot of people, right? At the end of the day, it's you're going to have an attachment for that. And our hope here is like, hey, if you missed this, it's worth checking out.
All right, absolutely worth taking a look at.
All right, any other thoughts?
Nah, I really want to try that Super Puck mode.
Yeah, like I said, we will totally append some of that footage for that. In fact, let's cut to that now. Enjoy.
Thanks.